Did my Ph.D. at Berkeley from 1967 through 76. Got employed by a company called URS Corporation. Stayed with them for 6 years, learning CEQA. And with them, I did maybe 150 environmental impact reports, statements, and assessments. And then was hired by the Parsons Corporation of Pasadena and did another couple hundred EIRs, EISs, EAs. And we had some very good project managers who protected our ass from the clients when we told them what was wrong and what they could do with their projects. I've done a lot of environmental, and I've been doing oil and gas, water, transportation issues within Southern California. Public disclosure, full disclosure, and objectivity. And in point of fact, I've also worked on a lot of metro rail projects. Now Metro, MTA. Through the Parsons Corporation, we were the construction managers for the Red Line Phase 1 subway construction from the LA River to Wilshire and Alvarado. I was in charge of all environmental compliance and such from the contractors. So we got into a lot of gas issues, oil issues, gasoline, underground tanks, water issues, air quality, vibration. The concerns for this particular project, double tracking, there's several. The first one from project stance is that MTA, they didn't do a good job at the beginning. The CEQA issues are somewhat complex in that whenever there's disputes amongst specialists and or that there is controversy over a project, the EIR is actually a tool that is supposed to address the controversy and to provide objective, full disclosure information. Central to this particular project are what are the impacts? Well, for me, when I do an EIR, I do one thing. I first go to what are the goals and objectives of the project, purposes and needs. What is this project actually to do? And involved in that is, okay, it's a transportation project. Well, that doesn't tell me everything about it. And one of the central issues which would drive me to doing an EIR on it is what's going to happen. We've had one train go through while we were doing this filming. What if there were 240 trains going through on the two lines, two track sets? Because one of the basic elements in all CEQA, all environmental related permitting assessments, EIRs, is you assume that the project will be able to use the maximum physical capacity of the project. If you have a refinery and it's rated at 300,000 barrels a day, you don't look at it at 100,000 barrels a day. You look at it at whatever its maximum physical capacity is. And they haven't done that. Metro and the Metrolink organizations, in general, any project should have an element of informed consent by the communities that it's going to affect. CEQA provides that. But it's a matter of getting it all out on the table at the same time, and that everybody has equal access to the information, and that if specialists differ on some subjects, there has to be informed discussion of those subjects. The double tracking is an infrastructure project. All infrastructure projects are related to their service area and future growth. Therefore, double tracking means more trains in the future somewhere, maybe not just here, but other places such as Ventura and or downtown LA, the piggyback yard. All of these areas are going to be affected by how many trains go through on a double track system here and go into the rest of the system, because it's part of a system. It's something like putting in an extra water pipe going to Porter Ranch. Well, why do you need an extra water pipe? Well, future growth. Well, by putting in the water pipe, you're almost guaranteeing future growth. More use, more of everything, you're going to affect the future. And as I said before, that if we get freight on rail, that means you're going to have more freight on the rail here. And it has to be sorted out as to how much and where. I was involved in the issues around what is called Metrolink Central Facilities at Atwater Village, Lazo Park, where they were idling the locomotives, and there were issues of noise, air pollution from the locomotive exhaust and things like that. Here, when you stand up at this location, you are at the worst possible elevation in regard to the most noise that's generated, that is the wheel to rail contact. Here it would be called an elevated noise source. If it was below you, you would have a different noise reception than sitting or standing in your backyard. Other people have gotten issues resolved by Metrolink and Metro itself. There should be some consistency of application of standards between all the Metrolink facilities and for here and for this track work to establish a system-wide method of noise and vibration monitoring, mitigation, and such like that. All of the issues go back to one central thing. What is its maximum physical capacity? If I say 24 trains a day, that's one thing. If I say 240 trains a day, that's a very different thing. But I could put 240 trains on this particular track set, and that would come up with a very different vibration, noise, air pollution, and might say sheer presence of activity that is within not the general ground level, but it's an elevated source. So all of these things would indicate that, hey, do a real EIR and bring in the specialists, do the monitoring, do the modeling, and tell people what will really happen. And but still in the background, you have this issue as to what's the maximum physical capacity of this facility. I just came out of an AQMD meeting this morning, the Air Quality Management District, who's trying to deal with oil and gas fumes, Alicio Canyon, and a whole bunch of other places. But it's still a matter that when they review a project, they assume that the project is running at its maximum capacity in order to compute air pollution. Not that, well, there's only 6 trains this year and maybe there'll be 7 next year or 8. No, what's the maximum physical capacity? And one of the things I'm interested in for the double tracking here in the valley is what would be the impact of having 20,000 containers going to Colton, 20,000 containers going to Palmdale, and 10,000 containers going to Ventura a day. When you're at the maximum, the probability of risk realization is real. So, yeah, if now that oil can be exported for sale, all of those oil wells in Ventura can either put it into a tanker at Oxnard or in LA Harbor. So how would they get to LA Harbor? They'd come by way of these tracks here in Chatsworth. It's a real issue. Metro has not done a good job on presenting it to themselves. And the physical capacity is there to transport oil from Ventura, from the central United States, Texas, Montana, places like that, through California to export it to the entire Pacific Basin. The only refineries that Ventura can sell to in the state of California are in LA and Long Beach. Since there's no real way of getting the additional oil that's being produced out of Ventura County, this is it. That would be 50 to 100 unit trains of oil. Now, in the background, that goes back to noise and vibration, air quality, because tankers aren't known to be gas tight. Make sure that people have information that's real and reasonable based upon the physical capacity of the proposed facility. The maximum physical capacity, let's say 200 unit trains a day, 10 an hour, 5 going west, 5 going east. Well, that will put the emphasis upon the next bottleneck, which will be the tunnels between LA County and Ventura County. So I say growth inducement starts becoming an issue. If you had that many unit trains going through here, how does it affect the rest of the system? All the way down to Long Beach, LA. And there are oil terminals in the Port of LA, and all they have to do is reverse the flow of their pumps, and they can fill up tankers in the Port of LA, or they can receive oil in the Port of LA. Here you have a physical project that must be reviewed at its maximum physical capacity and would have implications or inducements of changes elsewhere in the rail system. Well, nobody knows what improvements there would have to be in order to pass 10 trains an hour from the main line down in Burbank, Glendale, to this line. So there's all sorts of things just by a simple physical addition of a double track.
You have massive volumes of oil moving around the country in ways that fundamentally aren't as safe as they could be. The people who are supposed to be ready for it weren't. Firefighters didn't know about it. Mayors didn't know about it. The people who make sure the state's ready for oil spills didn't know about it. You know, crude oil wasn't supposed to explode until it started exploding.